I joined group 5, but I like to hear other group discussion about the imbalance with someone with the yin-yang out of balance with the illness. You can use your own case, yourself, to tell what's the symptoms and signs you think is to do with out of balance. So that's the kind of good practice to start with. At least you can think about what's something wrong with your health, or someone you knew. Then you can think about how to bring it back in terms of yin and yang. So that is a good thinking to start with, okay? Of course, this is only the first session. I already very appreciate you have a good kind of engagement and thinking. But of course, more thinking is more interesting and more making sense. So I would love you to feel like this is benefit for yourself. Okay, the group 1 from yesterday, who is going to talk about your group, like summary from your group discussion?
It's me, Tina Morris.
Good, thank you.
So we talked about a headache being a problem and being possibly yang, and then the treatment of it would be with yin, because I suffer with migraines and headaches quite a lot, and often use like cooling things to help the headache. I've got like a balm that I use, which is aromatherapy with like peppermint to cool. So we think that's yin. And obviously drinking plenty of fluids, water, yin. So we're thinking that the headache's rather yang, migraine, and then treating it with yin. So that's kind of the lines that we were going on, and also treating with meditation as well, and which is also yin.
Wonderful, that's great. You can be a doctor now. That's brilliant. The headache. I think everyone should have a thought about this headache. It's 100% correct. It's yang, too much yang. Of course, there is a background of possibly yin deficient. So of course, the yin deficient is another step of the learning, next step. So you treat the branch, you treat the symptom with the cooling the yang, cooling the fire, particularly we said migraine is fire. I suffer from migraine. I'm from the North China, South China. My hometown always the food is very spicy. You know the Sichuan cuisine? We are just similar, always hot. But I can't eat chili. As long as I eat chili, I will have migraine at one time. Just 100% now. Because with my life experience, I think I can say that it's definitely the trigger. So it's definitely fire. Unfortunately, I'm in my family, every time I go back to China, I'm the only one don't touch chili. If I really indulge eating chili, at one time I had terrible headache. My mom thought I got cancer. In the midnight, 1 o'clock, because I keep vomiting. My mom just called the ambulance to take me to the hospital. I said, oh my gosh. I said, Mom, I'm a doctor. But she said, no, it's not right. It's not right. You are dying, look like. So that's the yang and fire. Excellent. So I hope everyone learned something. But of course, it's because the yin is not enough to cool yourself down. That's the good thinking. Great. I'm very pleased. Second group, group 2.
This is Angela Phillips. If there isn't anyone else from our group, we had quite a lot of debate around mental health and illnesses such as depression and anxiety. And I'm not sure we came to a full conclusion, but we thought that if someone is quite withdrawn, they look inside themselves, they're not participating in activities and interacting with people, that would suggest that they become very yin, not so yang. But on the other hand, we thought that if you had a lot of anxiety and felt very overwhelmed and your mind was very active, overactive, so you couldn't go to sleep at night, or you wake up in the middle of the night thinking about lots of worries and concerns, then maybe your mind was very yang. You didn't have that yin, which you mentioned, to anchor yourself down. So we think that there is such a range of mental health conditions and illnesses that there could be, you have to look at each one perhaps specifically and for each patient.
Great. Great. Again, very impressive. Very good topic, mental health. This is another group of patients. Sorry, 1 minute. I forgot I need to pass my clinic key to my colleague who can't find his key. So he's on the door. I need to open the door for him and let him in. Just give me 1 minute. Forgot about it today.
It's okay, she's just going for a cup of tea. No. I'm sure she won't be back, won't be long.
I'm not going to take it personally. I'll mute myself now.
That's good, yeah.
Yes, it's great, wonderful. The headache, sorry about the, so the headaches and the mental health is two big group, very big group for in our clinic. The patients coming to looking for the help. Certainly, I think there shouldn't have any disagreement, should we? People agree, I think definitely. Like you said, anxiety, again, this is out of balance of yin and yang. Totally agree about the depression first, like depressed and quite reserved and close themselves, don't open. We said normally it's definitely from deficient, blood deficient, kidney deficient. But the anxiety, probably the early stage of mental health, really. This anxiety also is due to the deficiency. However, again, the deficient, if you have too little yin, always look, this is yang, this is yin. Too little yin look like relatively high in yang. Look. So this yang just cannot get balanced this way, but it's always like this. So especially in the evening time, you need more yin, then you make it like more deficient. So the yang is looking relatively high. It's like, again, it's a bit like empty heat or blood deficient. So one thing is not anchored, the strength. Another thing, especially waking up, a bit fire. Of course, if you're coming into the depressive stage or like a severe mental health, like schizophrenia, that stage, there's a depressive phase and manic phase. The depressive phase is yin. Yin is more damp, flame. The manic phase, you see people like manic. We said, 登高而歌, just run to the hill and singing and laughter and even just violent. That type is fire, 100% young, too much young. So of course, it's based on the kinds of very depleted depleted gene. Great, group 3. I just move on because I've just always watching time.
Okay, thank you. My name's Keith from Group 3. So we also discussed headaches. We discussed lots of different things. Probably didn't spend too little time on lots of different things. We discussed headaches, and we weren't sure at one page whether it was yin or yang deficiency. But then I knew something about sort of liver qi deficiency as well, and maybe even kidney qi deficiency. But a lot of the time, the books just talk about qi deficiency. They don't say whether it's yin or yang. So you have to try and think about what it could be.
A little bit off.
Yeah, in that situation. Then we talked about the skin, a little bit about the skin, and we thought it was deficiency in yin, having a skin problem like psoriasis or something. And I have a friend, Yusuf, who suffers very badly from psoriasis. on his elbows and his legs as well, and almost a crusty sort of sensation. And I always said to him, "You have too much yang. Your chi balance is not correct. You know, you need to balance in your body and bring your body back to a normal balanced situation." And the psoriasis over a period of time start to go away. I recommended a Chinese doctor I know in near High Wycombe, and he took some herbal remedies from her for a while, and it cleared it completely. And it was he couldn't believe it. Yeah, it was really, really quite incredible. So I think the herbal remedy obviously helped to reduce the yang and brought the yin and the yang back into balance in his body. And he was delighted, absolutely delighted.
Wonderful. Great example. So you obviously, I believe over 70 people here told me, I believe majority of you are TCM king to TCM. Why I keep hearing noise? Anyway, great thing. But this case is great because it's coming to the point I want to make. It's about qi and yin and yang.
Yeah.
Because when I sent Faye my slides, she worried. She said, "We talk about qi. We don't really start straight away with yin and yang. So what should be first?" Great question and great thinking. Because you talk about the martial arts. Why I feel very noisy? Can everyone mute first? Very noisy. Okay, that sounds better. Great. So the difference between qi and yin yang, they're not really separated. Like the cosmos, the universe starts from the qi. Like especially the Tai Chi, we're always talking about these kinds of the energy, the life force, this qi. But this qi will divide into yin and yang, put that way. So there will be yin qi and be yang qi. Of course, in the Chinese medicine concept, we very clearly divide this to yin and yang in order to make a good treatment, because qi deficiency or blood, qi is normally against blood, yin is against the yang. The treatment is very different in terms of qi deficient or yin deficient. So especially with herbs. So that's one, if in the future you want to do the Chinese medicine, of course we will have more discussion in depth. But not at this stage, I would say if you talk about the internal organ, the zhang and fu, which means the internal organ. Only the zhang producing the qi, we talk about deficiency. Liver is not produce the qi, but liver can be yang excess or yin deficiency, like you mentioned about skin. This just need a little bit clarification, but I believe you probably still have the question in your mind, how, and I want to know more. If you want to know more, probably you have to do a little bit more study. Just coming back to me, but great thinking, especially you mentioned about skin condition. Skin condition is 100% yin and yang out of balance. And the most case is internal heat from inside, especially emotional heat. This emotional heat is certainly to do with the liver responsible for your emotional disorder. Remember that. Good. So you learned a lot by this discussion. Wonderful. Group 4, please. Thank you, Keith. And thanks to Angela, I forgot to say that. And Tina. I'm a bit rushing forward. So group 4, please. Every group will bring something new. Then we learn something. That's great. We learn from each other.
Okay. We didn't really decide who was going to speak, so I'll speak.
Next time, okay, let's make a law.
Yeah.
Make a rule.
Before
we close the discussion, please decide who is going to talk, instead of everyone just feel a bit sorry and don't know. And yeah, let's do that next time. We still will have this group discussion, I think, because we have such a big group, 17 people, then I think group discussion is necessary. Okay, thank you.
No, it was our discussions were too interesting to decide who was going to speak. That was the problem. We also talked about a lot of the things that have already been discussed. We talked about skin disorders, we talked about headaches, and we talked about mental health problems.
Wow.
So I won't go over those, but in addition, we were wondering about neurodegenerative disorders like MS or Parkinson's or Alzheimer's, and we didn't really come to any conclusions. We were just kind of going, how does that fit? I mean, we didn't really decide, but was one of the things in addition to the other things that we did kind of talk about. So that was kind of, you know, something additional to what everybody else has already said.
Have you got any ideas in terms of yin-yang balance?
Well, again, we kind of didn't really get there. We thought something must be deficient, but it wouldn't really seem to be excessive yang, because it doesn't sort of fit with. We thought maybe it was a yin deficiency rather than an excess of yang was kind of where we got to. But other than that, we didn't really go any further because we ran out of time.
This is great thinking. It's very hard topic, really. Even for me, I'm still not very, even for us, we're still not very 100% sure what's going on. Because look at the MS patients. I have a patient girl, 35, got 2 kids, and she suffered from MS already for 10, almost diagnosed at 8 years, I think. So she was diagnosed at her like 20s. Do you think she's deficient at 20s? So sometimes you have to think, how could these people become that deficient? So it could be genetic. Yeah, oh, you are right. Genetic. This is gene deficient, like essence. The parents passed, because for her case, her brother got it as well. Her brother got MS as well. So this certainly, and lots of neuro problems definitely is to do with genetic. But on the other hand, something to do with brain, we normally think about kidney, relate to the kidney. Okay, that's one thought. Another thing is, we said, it's autoimmune disease. All this autoimmune disease, of course, we don't have too much evidence, too much research about this autoimmune disease. But from our experience, and from my experience, I had lots of autoimmune disease patients, because there's no cure, no treatment in the clinic, in the hospital, apart from immunosuppressant, and make people more ill, to be honest. So they came to us like a management for the symptoms, like preventing relapse, or all sorts. So I found it's more to do with damp. So where the damp coming from? It could be from stress. We will talk about 5 elements later on. You will know why 5 elements. So that's, of course, this stage you only need. So it's damp is kind of full pattern instead of deficiency pattern, but it's obviously like yin excess blocked the channels, then causing the problems. Block the channels, then causing the kinds of like your body can't recognize yourself, just completely out of balance. So causing these kinds of, we call it very strange conditions. In Chinese medicine, we call it strange conditions, either like Wei syndrome, like atrophy, or like B syndrome, like blockages. So these are the syndrome in our context. So this is really hard condition to think about, to be honest. I'm really pleased you already had a discussion about it. So it's good thinking. I think you all can become a very good Chinese doctor in the future. I feel like that. So, okay. Thanks, Sally. I will try not to talk too much because we are over time now, go over. So the next we still got 3 groups to go. If you have something new, just bring along, then we can then, if we see something similar, let's just have a little break, not break, just how to say, go over it, do then something new. So group 5, the one I joined it, group 5, please. Who is coming to talk? Group 5. Are you remember which group you are after the asleep overnight?
那个邢老师，他有人说就有10个组
哦，有10个组，OK。
啊，对对对，所以别忘了后面那3组。
Okay, we have 10 groups instead of 7. Okay, someone.
I could speak for group 5. Look, we didn't really feel we had enough time to really get too stuck in. I think we got sidetracked slightly by just talking about COVID, and then just talking about, because we got brought into a discussion about grief, and going in, we spoke about the 5 elements, how grief is attached to lung deficiency. And we got slightly sidetracked with COVID, to be honest. And then just thinking about how COVID can be treated by yang enhancing, such as astragalus root and the likes of that. And that's all we really got to be honest. We had a very short time, I felt.
Okay, good. I think I was there. I think a girl just mentioned about overweight. Why is overweight? Something wrong with her because she feel like after the grief, then she put on weight. True, grief impel long qi, long qi. The long qi, long govern the qi. If your qi is deficient, then you can easily put on weight. As I said, people overweight normally suffer qi deficient. The long is just like the commander of the qi, like order the qi in the right position. And it's breathing. That is the first resource of the qi, isn't it? The breathing. And of course, in the future, next, I think next week, next week, 13th, I'm going to talk about qi. So you will understand zhong qi, where the qi come from. So then you understand, you feel qi deficient, you feel tired, you feel bored, grief, and sometimes one thing is comfort eating because you feel tired, bored. And another thing is your metabolism slow down, then you can get overweight. That's the thing. And of course, Warren also mentioned about, apart from grief, what did you say? Can't remember. Still straight away forgot. Look at how bad. I think I clarified this grief with the way. Oh, COVID again, it's yin and yang out of balance. Of course, when it's coming to the symptom, the COVID is an external invasion. External invasion, this external passaging normally is a yang pattern. Sorry, the overweight is normally is yin and yang out of balance between qi deficiency, yang deficiency, and excess damp and phlegm. So damp and phlegm is excess yin. So let me finalize this way. So the COVID, great topic. Now everyone is interested and look like the COVID will never go or stay with us, become part of our life. So we need to know how to prevent it. So this is the passaging. When the passaging invade us, is the external pattern. This is the yang. This is a yang pattern. Everything external is yang pattern. However, this person, especially this type of COVID, is when they stay over, we normally say over 3 weeks or over 3 months, it's become chronic. When it's become chronic, people feel like all this, like a foggy head, like lethargic symptoms. All these symptoms actually is yin, but this yin is not yin deficient. It's the excess of damp and cold. Your body full of cold and damp, and the blockage from this passaging is still blocking the system. It's not going. That's why people have a long COVID, tired. So the Tai Chi and Qigong, like 八段锦, is being so popular in China. In the COVID hospital, everyone, the nurse will learn Tai Qigong, like 八段锦, and teach all the patients to perform the Qigong in order promote the circulation to allow these blockages go away. So in China, not many long COVID, not as many as this country, because there are 4 million people have the COVID, 10% got a long COVID. How many of English people have the long COVID? Of course, one reason is the weather is not very supportive. So damp and cold. Another thing is, of course, the Chinese medicine involvement. One thing is like qigong, is everyone is doing that. Another one is herbs, of course, acupuncture as well. But in China, acupuncture is not as they are too busy for other conditions, but not really for this kind of internal conditions, more herbs. So this is great discussion. I think if we know a bit more, of course, this is more to do medicine now. Group 4, group 5, group 6 now. I will go quicker now.
I'm happy to speak for group 6. I'm John Williams.
Yeah.
We discussed asthma.
Great.
Condition. I'll be honest, I've had asthma since I was 14, so I just threw it in there. And now, after this discussion this morning, I have a feeling that I was getting bullied at school when I was 13, 14. And that's when I developed asthma. Now, I have a feeling that the bullying caused a stress response, which I'll be honest, I thought triggered the asthma. But we basically, we were saying, obviously, asthma is an inflammatory issue in the lung. So it's a more a sympathetic response. But then when you look at it, it's agitated by, for example, the seasons, whether it's the day or the night time for different people, and also what you eat and allergies. So you could argue, say, for example, pollen, but at the same time, not everybody gets agitated by pollen. So for some reason, they're getting agitated at different times. But also, if you eat too heavily late at night, you can have worse asthma. If you go to bed, if you do heavy activity too late, you can have worse asthma. You can have worse asthma, for example, in the summer, if it's too hot. So we sort of discussed all the aspects. It could be yin, could be yang. And to be honest, after we were looking at the seasons, the time of the day, and also age, a lot of people grow out of asthma. And we were discussing yesterday that when you're younger, you're more yang. So if it's a more yang condition and people grow out of it, is it because constitutionally they become more yin as they get older? Therefore, they grow out of asthma. And also, we tend to calm down as we get older. We become more level. So when I was looking at myself, I was into martial arts, but I ended up doing like MMA, the mixed martial arts in my late 20s, and I was bodybuilding. I did a competitive bodybuilding. So everything I did was really, really yang. And it took me until I think my mid-30s when I started meditation. I found yoga after I sequestered a disc and paralyzed myself when I was 40. And then 2 years ago, I found qigong, which has then transformed things even further. And now looking at everything that we've been discussing to do with the asthma, it feels from everything we've discussed that it's well, for me personally, I suppose a yang issue. I don't know if I'm correct.
Okay, let me summarize what you're. It's great. I think this really, even just yin and yang discussion to make you think so much about yourself and so much about health. That's the great start. Great start. Really, I believe most of you already inspired, even myself. Great. Let me finalize it because it's such a big subject. If I want to talk about asthma, it will take me a day. So at least 2 hours. Summarize it. Asthma is to do with phlegm. Again, phlegm. Phlegm is a yin condition. Damp phlegm block your lungs. So of course, what caused it? This is a big subject. And especially in this country, it's quite unusual in China to have so many children, baby asthma. I will talk about, if you want to learn more in the future, we can arrange some sessions. Maybe we can do some CPDs. I will discuss with Faye if people are interested in some certain country, or you can come into my class. We do have this kind of individual class to open to the CPDs. So it's a lot of discussions if you are interested. Or in the future, if you like, I can send you some information. So it's yin condition to start with, but it's a blockage from the damp and phlegm. But when you grow up, your you have a lot of activities. Your yang qi is raising up, especially people active people, then the asthma can get better. It can get better. Of course, this one thing, of course, you realize more and you eat well, you do exercise, as helps. The main thing is the yang qi actually resolved some of the phlegm. So that's why you grow out of it. If children, they had it, the family seems like looking after them very well, don't allow them to go out and just calm them and always stay at house and don't go any activities just in case the asthma attack. So this, of course, has helped to secure their life, but not help to heal the asthma. The only thing can keep them on control is inhaler. But when they grow, they just do more. Especially your own experience, when you do more exercise, it's actually help you, especially breathing and moving. It's great. So that's the reason. From yin, then it's because of the yang qi promoted, then you get better. That's my answer. Great, fantastic. We can't stop now. Group 7 now, 7, move on.
Hi, it's Julie. So yesterday we spoke about chronic illness and multiple chronic illnesses. Wow. For myself, I've got a long list of chronic illnesses, which I'm hopefully managing as best as I can. But how do we balance the yin and yang? When yesterday you said that we were yang deficient with fibromyalgia, but I've also got CFS, which puts me in a yin position all the time. So it forces the yin into rest and recovery. So there's always a baseline limitation there that I can't go over. So how do we find that fine balance? Because it's now starting to affect the autonomic system with blood pressure and lymph system and that sort of thing. So that was the side of things that we were discussing. We were looking at the fact that some people think that they can just use brute force and fight it, but you can't. You have to respect it. And also the fact that you can't keep yin and yang in a rigid sort of compartmentalization of it, because it changes so often. It's so unpredictable.
True. When you become a chronic illness, it's not something you can solve with a simple yin and yang imbalance, or simple yin deficiency or simple yang deficiency. It's a mixture. If, like, for example, I will teach my students to analyzing a case, especially like a chronic illness, the case study, they can work out like over 10 patterns in the chart, just one start with and develop, and how they collect related from, of course, from 5 elements theory. That's what we are going to learn. So you will understand when people become that chronic, they have a lot of mixture of the patterns. Of course, we will go for the most important. You have been ill for like over 10 years. You are not expecting 10 days treatment or even 10 months, probably talking about 10 months should be okay. I have to say 10 months should be okay to treat your condition. So we'll have to take step by step. So taking one pattern, like yang deficient, then gradually adding other side, like you have damp, this is yin, and you also have, because yang deficient, you're not having enough energy to burn your food into the yin. You understand? We need to keep getting the yin in order to support the yang. If you're yang deficient, you don't have enough to bring the yin become a yang, or you can't really make the food, the nutrients become the resource, become a substance as a yin. So you consequently you become yin deficient. So at the end is yin and yang deficient. At this stage, keep doing your exercise of qigong or tai chi. It's the best way. If you do every day or 2 times a day, it definitely will help you, at least preventing you go any further. Of course, we can't say you will not die at all. It's not possible. You at the end of the day, your essence is only so much to keep you going for 100 years, not over 100 years probably, but at least you can go for a full lifespan, rather than just a bit worried about, oh, when I'm going to finish, not a kind of worrying. So you keep doing the exercise. This is the best balancing methods. Self-healing, do the self-healing. Of course, if you can afford, you have a good Chinese doctor around. This is also the option, because the Western medicine obviously just give you more and more drugs and make you depleting more. Of course, I'm not against the Western medicine, but for some chronic condition, they have no solution. I can say we have no solution. We don't know what to do. We just keep the patients as less symptoms as possible, but we can't promise can keep your health in a good state. Anyway, that's the big subject. Chronic illness is mixture of yin and yang. Great, thank you, Julie. And group 8 now?
Group 8, that's me. I'm Lisa Dengate. Hi, we were talking about seasonal affective disorders, not just the sad from winter, just saying how much the seasons and their yin-yang balances create sort of more pneumonia, say, in the yin months of winter. And then we get things like hay fever. And somebody mentioned heart attacks apparently are more prevalent in the summer. I don't know whether that's true. And how
about that today.
Yeah. And we wondered as well about sort of whether foods that are grown in the actual season might be able to help, because actually we're out of kilter with everything, with being able to buy anything in the shops.
Young, isn't it?
So that was just what we were discussing and saying, you know, how much do the seasons affect the illnesses that you then see because of the yin and yang of the characteristics of the seasons.
Great. This is 5 elements we will talk about later today. Great thinking. That's seasonal disease. It's quite common, more like to do with allergies, isn't it? So it's only against certain people, not everyone. Because I've been in this country more than 20 years, I'm not having a hay fever, and touch wood, who knows? So
you like mine?
So a lot of people don't have this condition, but some group, they tend to have it. So that's what we discussed in the future. Great thinking. We all keep thinking that, keep this question in mind, then you can get some answer along with my teaching. Okay, let's move on to next group. Thank you, Lisa. Group now 8 now. 7 or 8, can't remember. Okay.
We were group 8. It needs to be group 9, I think.
Group 9 now. Oh gosh, finally. 9. Who is in the group 9?
Sorry, yes. I suppose it's me. We really didn't get round to discussing who was, but I was taking some notes. We really didn't talk an awful lot apart from I have asthma, and I know it's damp. I know the condition. I know it's helped by sort of well, perhaps I thought it was by eating ginger might help, and also the way sometimes when we're doing bad with gin, you have the 3 cavities, and you are balancing them by doing the first movement, of course, and there's an imbalance in the chest, and obviously it's because too much damp probably, and for the center cavity, obviously indigestion, etc., or the bottom with, you know, the lower dantian for the imbalance of the intestines, etc. Really, that's about all. I'm sorry.
Right.
I keep
so
getting,
this is similar to
sorry.
To group 4, isn't it? Group 6, I can't remember.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah, asthma.
Yes.
Wonderful.
So
we will talk about later on about why your diet relate to the asthma.
Okay.
I don't know. There is a paper, a research paper published, I think probably 2 years ago, about chronic lung inflammation, including asthma. Right. They found the gut played a very, very important role. That is from the Western scientific paper, like scientific research. So in Chinese medicine, we said the lung is metal, and it's the son, the child, the son of earth. The earth is spleen. Spleen is the digestive, like including gut, stomach. So the mother ill will create the son become ill. And mother creates this kind of phlegm and block in the lung, in the son's lung, not son's place. Anyway, block the child. So that's the relationship we were talking about.
My asthma didn't come on until I was about 40. So that was late. There's different types of asthma, isn't there? There's a one that sort of
it's against the inflammation. Yeah, inflammation, but yours probably from outside, like this COVID.
Yeah.
COVID, like one time had the flu, cold, or chest infection, it's never been healed. That's the reason.
Yeah.
The reason why it's never been healed is because the antibiotics only tackle the yang pattern, heat pattern, because antibiotics is very yin. They tackle the yang pattern. But when you have this yin pattern like cold and phlegm, cold and damp invasion, antibiotics doesn't work. When like ginger will work, cinnamon twigs will work.
Right. Okay.
Not antibiotics. That's the problem. Why people suffer. From my experience, my treatment for asthma is very effective. So with the herbs and acupuncture, it's really effective. I always think about this need of doing research. 5 animal qigong. There's a birds. The bird ones is working for the lungs. Keep practicing that. Will be good.
Do that then. Thank you.
Great, Jen. Thank you. And finally, we come to the last group. Yeah, please come.
Hello, it's Peter Orme speaking. I think we didn't nominate a spokesperson, but I think I'll speak on behalf of the group. I think we covered most of the same topics as all the previous groups coming last, and we're always going to be overlapping. But I think one of the key things that was slightly different, we talked about the effect of like skin disorders like pimples, acne. Not quite sure what the causes are in terms of yin or yang of which particular organs, but the symptoms come out in the skin rather than whatever. Yeah, so we didn't conclude anything, but we discussed that relationship with yin and yang affecting and the breakout in the skin. And we also covered like depression, understanding or trying to understand the nature of depression and the symptoms. Couldn't conclude, or we didn't conclude anything in terms of that, but understanding there is a mental aspect and an impact on how your body is and your energy levels and so on from the depressive state. But how to get out of it, we didn't discuss that, but those are the kind of issues we talked about.
Sounds like you want to know what's caused the acne. I think in the class I have mentioned it. Acne is more like excess yang, too much yang, instead of yin deficiency, not necessarily yin deficiency, yang excess. And usually lots of people like the damp and heat. So this damp and greasy food, hot food, not spicy more, I probably like a lot of junk food, put that way. They put too much yang into the body, then just burst out, especially for young people. Of course, if for adults have asthma, acne, they probably have the yin deficiency, some stage of yin. Some people, even like 40s, got acne. So this is obviously the background of yin deficient. So it depends on age group. Is that clear? Acne is young burst. So diet is most important when you are a teenager. My son is teenager, so 15, so he got spots, especially if he's not sleep. So that's obviously have some background of yin deficient. That's just not conquer the yang. If your yin is sufficient, you probably can just always keep balance going. That is one thing I think make me think even yang is not always yang access, but most time is because he eats loads of junks, loads of sweet. The sweet is heat and damp, hot and damp, and also burgers. Too much burgers, too much meat, red meat particularly, always a trigger of acne. Thank you, Pete. I think we have to, now it's time to move on. I don't want to leave anything for today to next week, because every time we have lots to talk, especially I'm very pleased. We only need your like learning outcome from our side, from the college side. It's only want you to understand. I'm sure now you are almost fully understand what yin and yang means and what yin and yang imbalance means. So in terms of health. So Qigong, Tai Chi obviously is the best way to keep us healthy, keep the harmony going. So is a really important point. And of course, all this knowledge, all this thinking, all this discussion is to enhance our understanding of yin yang. So now I will move on to my new lecture today. I'm already feel like I need a break. Okay. 5 elements. So, sorry, some people put some questions on the chat column. I hope some answers in the talking is already answered your question, but because of time, I will leave that to the end. Okay, end of the today. So the 5 elements. I hope, how many people heard about or knows about what 5 elements are? Just put 1 in your chat box. I will know how many people already knew about 5 elements. Wow, let's see. Increasing numbers. Fantastic. Now it's only 41, 42, 44. So more than half of you, it's almost all of you, like it's on 50s now, knew about 5 elements. So I don't have to tell you what 5 elements is. So that saved me a lot of time. Wonderful. 53, is that all? Good. Anyway, so 54, still increasing. 5, 6. Quick. I will say, if all of you already knew, then I will be very much easier to go. So we can spend more time to discussing your health instead of introducing you what 5 elements are. But okay, thank you for those put the hands up. So 5 is 五行 in Chinese. If you know Chinese name, it will be great. 五行, 五 means 5. 行 in Chinese, it means movement, but we normally translate like elements. It's a process to go or conduct, behavior, a kind of dynamic quality of nature, not just only stay there, just 5 elements, like water is there, but they are constantly move from one to another. This is also part of yin-yang theory. Yin-yang 5 elements is the core of Chinese medicine. So let's talk about, so now it's 60 people already knew 5 elements. It's great. I think not only us talking about 5 elements, some other countries have the kind of background, historical background. They do talk about 5 elements. So I'm not sure, I'm 100% sure most people heard about it, knew about it. Proved is only about 10, 15 people ever heard about it. So the popularity of 5 elements theory waxed and waned through the centuries. Even in China, the same. In these countries, in the UK, you know, probably our generation or probably older generation, that you heard about acupuncture, probably like 1970s. In this country, they're only practicing 5 elements style of acupuncture, just because they found it is more vivid and easier to understand, and particularly great for mental health. So that is a lot of things. Of course, nowadays, you don't hear many people practicing 5 elements, just because more and more people start to learn herbal medicine, then they find 8 principles is the way forward. And 5 elements sometimes is too much, because there's no specific judgment in terms of 5 elements, like you are a wood person, you are earth person, but most case you are wood and earth, or you are fire like me. Probably I think I'm fire, wood and water. And sometimes I think I'm earth. So it's very difficult to make a final kind of treatment plan. So that's become less popular now. But before it was really, really popular, especially in Europe. So I think the same, like that's why I'm talking about is it's Vance and Waxed. Yin Yang theory dated back to Zhou dynasty, but while 5 elements dated back to the warring state period. So slightly later than Yin and Yang, And earliest record of 5 elements called 6 Fu, we call the seats of governments, or 5 Cai, 5 Cai, 6 Fu, heaven sent to, we call, there's a kind of a record that's in 2000 years ago. Heaven sent the 5 abilities, and the people use them. We said the God giving these 5 abilities, 5 Cai, 5 Cai. This is just like you knew the 5 elements, like water, earth, fire, what else? Metal, and earth, soil to the people, and then we use it, just like we received and we use it. So all the like the cosmos or the universe, everything consists of these 5 elements. So, and also there's a comment saying 6 C's of government are water, fire, metal, wood, earth, and green. In the past, they include grain. So it seems like the rice, the grain is so important. It's part of, and we receive from our God, like from the heaven. So that's what keep us survive. Think about anything, any of this. If we lack of any of this, how can you survive? There's no chance. Fire is like a sunshine, isn't it? So metal, wood, everything will need this. So a book from Western Han Dynasty called Great Transmission of Valued Book, saying water and fire provide food, metal and wood provide prosperity, and the earth makes provision. So think about that. The theory of 5 elements and its use into medicine marks the beginning of what one might call scientific, because the healers observe nature, and with a combination of inductive and deductive methods, then they set out to find patterns within it, and by extension apply these in the interpretation of disease. So this just, as I said, when you talk about your asthma, how we interpret your pattern in order to treat it. So actually this 5 element theory become a kind of the beginning or the source of Chinese medicine science, really. Of course, there's no laboratory involved, but it's by observation of the nature change. Then we correspond this to the human being. Then think about, if you have a garden, think about in your garden, what elements you got in the garden. So that's, of course, leave it to you. The 5 elements are water, fire, wood, metal, and earth. And water moistening and go downwards. So everything have the kind of direction. The water go down, fire go up. Fire always go up, nourishing and helping us to. Of course, why our face color was red is fire. It's not the abnormal fire, normal fire, because of the blood. the kind of by the young. Wood can be bent and strengthened, can be straightened, to be straight and to be bent. That is wood. Metal can be molded and can harden. Earth permits sowing, growing, and reaping. So think about all these elements. This is just first stage of 5 elements. So of course, with the Qigong, probably the best Qigong matching the 5 elements is 5 animals. 5 animals: tiger, bear, deer, what else? Monkey and birds. These are the best matching to 5 elements. 1 match 1. So I believe if you learn the 5 animals, or you can look at the YouTube to see what's going on. So that's the best matching. 5 elements, 5 wuxing, describe change. Don't forget, not only just element there. They describe the changing of the cosmos, the change of the health. So keep kinds of the kind of movement, the process, the movement, stage of seasonal cycle. That's answered your question about seasoning disease. Why we're always coming with eczema or asthma in the springtime? Because it's wood growing. So if you eat some food triggered, or if you touch anything, then you get this kind of sprout coming out. And use the metaphor of course we call it, for example, color as a shorthand reminder of these different changes. So that's just some theories about 5 elements. Each element is associated with particular correspondences or resonances to describe its character. Each element associated with particular correspondence or resonances to describe its character. For example, the natural phenomenon associated with natural phenomenon, like the season. The spring is a wood. The summer is fire. The long summer, we call long summer in China, we have the 长夏. Just after summer, before autumn is very damp. That is earth. Then winter is water. Hang on. 春夏秋 autumn, sorry. Autumn is metal. It's for like steel. So that describes the natural phenomena and associate with movement, and associate with seasons, and is different, and also associate with different part of body. Like the heart is fire, the lung is metal. Yeah, the spleen is earth, liver is wood, the kidney is water. For me, as a Chinese doctor, I'm most familiar with my body part. So that's help us. So let's looking at one by one. Right. Wood, the character of wood. I could let you to think about it and have some discussion about these characters if we have time, but we don't have time. Let me go ahead. So it can be bent and straightened, has solidity and workability, and associated with expansive outwards movement in all directions. Trees is wood, so it can be bent. If you want to cultivate it, then you can bend them to different shape. So it's quite kind of flexible, but normally straightened. But if you force them too much, makes them what? Depressed. So that's the kind of character of wood. But of course it can be workable. If you are more flexible, means what? Liver. The liver is good, healthy. If you are always like that, you cannot be bent, the liver is not very healthy. Put that way. Of course, don't think about yourself, okay? If someone is too stubborn, they need some treatment. That's my joking, but it's true. It's true. So associated with expansive outward movement in all directions. So it's applied to our health. The liver qi involving every single organ of the body, involving your heart, can affect your lung, can affect your kidney, and most likely affect your digestive spleen. So that's why liver cannot be too much kind of depressed. So try not to be stressed. Try to exercise is the best, especially Qigong Tai Chi, is the best to soothing our wound. Make sure they are not being bent too much. Otherwise, they will affect every single zang, every single organ, make you ill. And also, nowadays, even the scientific research already find emotional stress can be most cases, most patients cause, most diseases, the chronic disease, the cause of the emotional stress. So even now, yesterday, I just watching the, what's that called? Twitter. There was someone publicly say a sensational findings. What's the sensational findings? Or what's that called? Yeah, sensational. I said, oh, why is it? Then I look at it. It said the heart attack or heart disease is not associated with cholesterol, because people always think it's cholesterol, but they find it's from inflammation. So where the inflammation coming from? Mostly from emotions. Anyway, that's just a bit too much to talk. So the springtime and the birth of anything, like the child, the birth, the plant, the new plant is growing, is all belonging to wood. And the wind associate with wood. Wind associate, because wind always blow the wood shaking. So someone in the discussion talk about Parkinson's. So the Parkinson syndrome, shaking, trembling, these kinds of symptoms, we just use this symptom, match the natural kinds of phenomena. We classify this symptom as a wind, shakeable like that. This is a wind. Where is wind coming from? Obviously, not from the wind outside of the house, not from that, but this is called internal wind. And this internal wind is to do with liver. So Parkinson's people, you can see, of course, apart from genetic reason, some probably another group of people with Parkinson's is normally to do with we call vascular Parkinson, is blockage. But most cases, kind of the personality is wood type. Wood, they tend to suffer this kind of shivering. So, and of course, they connected with eyes, the sinews, of course, the wind sinews, of course, and anything to do with eye and to do with tendons, it can relate to the wood, to do with wood. And the taste, in terms of 5 elements, is sour. So how you understand this sour meaning? So if you find someone's craving sour taste food, it means the liver is a bit deficient. The same people normally craving something means they need something. Some people now in this country, lots of people craving sweet. Actually, is indicating their spleen deficient. Indicate the spleen deficient. So the spleen deficient, the craving sweet, didn't mean you will encourage them to eat sweet. No, because they just need it, means you're spleen deficient, but the sweet is not healthy. Neither too much sour. So we need to treat it. We need to treat the sour. Okay, treat the liver. That's the wood. Next one, after I've introduced it, I'll give you time to answer question, okay? The next one is fire. Fire flares upwards. Look at what fire works. Has a heat, burns, and combusts. So some people say, why I got the fire, obviously, open to the tongue fire, like it's related to the tongue. So even yesterday, my husband said, why my tongue is hurting? I said, because you had a stress. He definitely had a stress over work. So he said, what do you mean? I said, you don't know. I will teach you a lesson. If you're stressed, you generate the emotional fire. And normally the fire is in the liver, but liver is the mother of the heart. So fire really relates to the heart. Heart is the summer in terms of season, and growth. And it's heart, pericardium, small intestine, and sanjiao relate to fire. Sanjiao, you probably is first time you look at this. Sanjiao is we call triple burner. It's kind of like organ. The Western medicine never have it, but a year ago or 2 years now. This COVID year seems like it's not like a year. 2 years now. Someone just published a paper in the Nature, the very top magazine, and they found the new organ which responsible for the transformation of the cancer. So this new organ is an interstitiate. So our Chinese medicine group are getting a bit excited. They say, wow, they find sanjiao. This is sanjiao triple burner. This is nothing new to Chinese medicine, but for the Western world, the Western medicine is such a new thing. Of course, we can't 100% match it, but it's very similar. If you read that news, you probably will get some sense about sanjiao. Just give you some introduction for this new organ. And it's relate to the speech, relate to the tongue and blood vessels, the fire. And the taste-wise, bitter. I think nobody will love bitter, but some people definitely. I find, of course, the only people I can notice kind of five elements match is my husband. He always had the tongue ulcer, pain of the tongue, and he always loves, the vegetable called bitter melon. Bitter melon you can buy from Chinese supermarket, or you can buy from India supermarket. It's tasty but very bitter. He loves it. Every time he said, oh, don't forget to buy me some bitter melon. Of course, this bitter melon now they found this very good for diabetes. So the bitter melon is bitter. Some people do like that bitterness. So that means he's very fire person, very fire, very much. If you look at the characters later, you understand what fire means, what wood means. The next one is the earth. Let me see, some people already put the questions. Oh, John said it's to do with the fascia. Is that fascia interstitiate? No, I don't think so. It's different.
The interstitial membranes and the fascias. So what there's been a lot of research lately with regards to fascia. So what you're doing is when you're looking at the three compartments of the body, obviously, you've got the upper above the diaphragm, then you've got basically the visceral.
That's right, correct, that's right.
Yeah, then the pelvic bowl. Sorry, it's just, I mentioned it only because you were talking about the research. Well, it's something to do with part of the therapy that I do, right? And also the fascia work that I'm involved in. I'm not involved in the research. I'm involved in my own little group within my group of therapists that we're discussing all of this right now.
Wonderful.
So that's why I interjected with that comment, because it's really relevant, because fascia is growing as an understanding massively in the West. For example, if a woman has a cesarean section, they're now looking at research and why she gets shoulder pain. Well, the reason she gets shoulder pain is because of is because when you go through the fascia, what you do is you create basically scarring that interferes with the biotensegrous nature of the body, which interferes with all of the fascia of the body.
You are completely right. Nowadays, the acupuncture world have a heated discussion about this fascia.
Yeah.
They it's at least 60% believed the fascia is our Jingluo system. Why we needle the tummy can treat the shoulder pain.
Yes.
Why we needle the opposite side of the leg can treat your shoulder pain. Same as others. Loads of things explain the Jingluo, the meridian systems.
Absolutely. What's amazing about what you just said is there's a fascia that runs from your ankle and it goes across the body, up the body, over the head, back down and back down the other side.
The
So
best
it
point for
crosses
headache
over.
is liver 3. Liver 3 is on your toes.
Amazing. So it interacts perfectly with the Western, if you want to call it Western approach, from the fascia and also the lemniscate. The secret of the opening flower, manifestations of the way the fascia runs in this lemniscate movement through the body. So it all matches with what you just said with treating down here, but to treat something up here. So that's, sorry, I'm a little bit excited because I recognize from some of the research that we've been doing, some of the things you've been saying. So that's wonderful. Thank you.
Great. What's your name?
Sorry, my name's John Williams.
Oh, John Williams. Thank you, John.
No, thank you. It's amazing. Thank you. Yeah.
Great. So it's
sorry
great.
to interrupt.
No, great instructions because we knew about, we can learn from you, your expertise. Fantastic. I just worry about time, so I just gave you a little bit kind of tick. But of course, with your explanation, with your expertise, it's wonderful to get that depth, in-depth understanding. Fantastic. Thank you, Phiong. Right. Now it's Earth in theory. Give me just 2 more minutes, then we can have a break. Permit sowing, growing, and reaping, and concerns nutrition. The earth, of course, think about the soil here, of course, relate to the growing, relate to the harvest, and relate to the nutrition. Associated with being at the center and stability. So think about, you can think about yourself, whether you are this type of earth type. So late in each season, late summer. So it's kind of transformation stage. So from the summer to the autumn, between summer and autumn, between that is earth time. Humidity, the bad thing is about earth is about humidity and dampness. We always said the earth don't like damp. If damp come into us, normally always attack the weak spot, which is the earth, which is spleen, stomach. That's why COVID patients, I don't know how many you knew about COVID patients, but a lot of COVID patients have diarrhea because the damp normally will attack your spleen, make your spleen deficient and make you go to the toilet, and tummy ache. My colleague who just came to pick up the keys, he got the stomach pain and diarrhea. He said 1 week he lost 10 kilos. He's an acupuncturist anyway. I don't want to mention about who is he. He's fine now. He's got antibody. He got vaccine, all done. So it's related to speech and relate to stomach. And the mouth, they normally open to the mouth and in charge of the muscle and flesh. So, and also some people have a muscle ache, pain all over, like aching body, spleen, and craving sweet. I already mentioned craving sweet. So that's also some people overweight just because they're spleen deficient. When the spleen deficient is just can't stop eating sweet. The only thing to quench their the hunger or the kinds of stress is by eating sweet. So that's another reason they just can't really get the weight under control. To be honest, when I came to this country to start with, I can't even tolerate a single piece of chocolate. It's too sweet for me. Then my landlord, I was renting a place in Oxford that I start. She said, "You will love it, May. You know, I don't know why, but I become like that. Love the sweet because of the weather. Now this is proved. Every day, if I don't eat sweet, I feel like I'm still lack of food. I must have a piece of like cake or not cake, something sweet, to make me feel, oh gosh, I have eaten. Otherwise, I feel like I'm still hungry. So that's the weather, because it's so damp, make everyone's being a bit deficient, right? Can't move. The last one, metal, can be molded and can harden, and has malleability and solidity associated with contraction. Then normally is autumn time, harvest time is metal. When you harvest, of course, you will use some metal tools, and it's normally to do with dryness. Autumn, the metal normally, of course, our lung is match the lung and large intestine. The lung dislike the damp, neither dislike phlegm. We lung also keep dry, but of course, it's too dry also is not good. Moisturizing is necessary, and the open to the nose, connecting with the skin, and the taste is pungent. So pungent probably can relate to spicy, can more or less relate to the spicy. Okay, so sorry, water is the last. Water is moistens downwards, has a liquidity, fluidity, but can be frozen. Water can be frozen, and it's to do with winter and storage. Those kinds of time we reserve, and we have a kind of rest. And with cold, correspond to the cold, and match kidney, bladder, and open to the ear, and relate to the bones. Relate to the bone. Bone didn't like cold, obviously, and the taste is salty. That's why when we get older, we love more salty food, because our kidney deficient. Some people is craving salty, again, is indicating some deficiency of the kidney. Okay, so that's the 5 elements, just like introduction to you to understand what are they, and some characteristics, and some of the corresponded associated factors. So I think just like introduction, although we only have 1 hour from 10, but we started like 22. So I believe everyone tired. As I said, online teaching only can concentrate half an hour. We already go over. Okay, let's have a break for 10, 15 minutes. Coming back, 20 past. Okay, let's have a break, 20 past 11. Oh, I just looking at the, anyway, you just go for a break, whatever, but I just looking at the chat. Someone mentioned to me about Parkinson's, obviously, looks like he's very expertise. Samuel have network issues? What's the issues? I can't find that question. Oh, no. Meek. Problem of Parkinson's is the lack of movement, not shaking. Start with the shaking though. It's interesting to know that, Meek, Mr. Taylor. It's interesting to know what you said. It's true. But anyway, let's talk about it later.
I ask a very quick question, please?
Yes.
You mentioned a book yesterday. Was it called Food Energetic or Food Energetics?
I think it's Food Energetics.
Food Energetics.
Did you search it?
Yeah, I did a search on Amazon. It didn't really say kind of like Chinese medicine as such when I looked on Amazon. It was by a guy. I'll be 2 seconds. I'm literally just looking at Food Energetics.
I will try. Okay, I will bear in mind. I get my book. Try to find my book. I can't remember exactly the name. I have students have it as well. I will ask them. I will let you know. Okay, possibly. Am I in your group? Maybe
when you say group,
at your like the student. Do you have a student group? WhatsApp group?
Yes, I'm not sure if you're. I don't know, to be honest. I think it was a Jan. Jan organised the WhatsApp group.
Yeah, John, probably I give you my number. You can bring me in because I'm also learning Qigong in this group.
All right.
I'm hoping to learn a bit more. So, so it can be. Please, someone can bring me in and be part of the group. Then I can also communicate with you with
can I
some
just
questions.
say yes,
as well.
Yes, madam. Excuse me. He is doing. He is in the Marand Way group.
Oh yeah, great. So
Okay.
you already invite me.
Yes.
All right.
Food Energetics. I think that's possibly one of the books my student recommended. Did you?
It's by a guy
nothing
called.
To do with Chinese medicine.
It just says Food Energetics, the spiritual, emotional, and nutritional power of what we eat. But I'm not sure it's relating to TCM, which is why I was asking. I think.
Because I haven't read. I think it's something also mentioned about the yin yang. Let me spend some time to find out. Okay.
No, thank you.
Just today, it's not a good best time because I don't want to delay your.
Oh no, it's just because it was
time.
mentioned. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, fantastic. That's good. I think that's the one I had, but I never really read into it. Can't remember. It's got so many herbal books.
Yeah, right. I'll mute.
Oh, I find there's a question about asthma. Someone asked, or COPD. Someone asked, your wife suffer from. Is that Keith? Said your wife suffered from COPD, whether it's treatable. So this is a bit next stage of the question, but I think it's treatable, not recovering from COPD, but will stop developing. You know that COPD, if it's developed, then will causing the heart disease, then will causing heart failure. So it's not the good, like a wonderful prognosis. So preventative is very important. I had the patient COPD. I treated her since I was pregnant. So it's 15 years ago. She's still with me. Since she had the treatment, she stopped the inhaler. She stopped now, of course, after quite a few years. Now she stopped going to the hospital every single winter. Before, she always have a relapse in the winter, and was keep sending to the hospital for she also asthma with COPD, so it's quite bad. Always chronic bronchitis causing this COPD. Now she's very stable. She's now can go for, we go for a walk, become a great friend. We go for a walk. She can walk more than me, unbelievable, without inhaler. So that's the hope. And now we carry on. So far, any questions for this 5 element in terms of the character of each and related, associated with other things? Any questions? Put your hands up.
Oh dear, how do you put your hand up? I'd like to, sorry, I can't find how to put your hand up. I'd like to ask if there's a time of day that's particularly related to each of the elements, when it's functioning better or when it's more likely to be deficient in some kind of way.
Right, yes, yes. We have the, not really 5 elements, we have each, this time scale every day correspond to each organ. For example, the morning time, from 5 to 7:30, that is the large intestine time. Large intestine is yang ming. Yang is means sun. Ming is bright. So we call brighter yang. That yang ming correspond to stomach and large intestine. So you do qigong, you know, you're always supposed to get up to do your meditation or exercise. Start exercise at that time, 5 to 7:30 in the morning. So it means your yang qi, it's rising and you need to be active. So in the nighttime, normally we should go to bed by 9 o'clock. So each time, like 2 hours, is against an organ. Of course, this organ relate to the 5 elements. And for example, in the evening, like between 11 to 11 to 1 o'clock in the night time, it's a liver time. That's the time we should go for a deep sleep in order our liver detox. So it's a wood time. So there is a chart about this. I can find out and send it to you, okay? So
Thank you, that's wonderful. Yeah.
After the different organs, like certain time, and you know, some people always waking up like 3 to 4, 3 to 5, wake up. That is the gallbladder. So also this just indicating something related to the liver or something. Not gallbladder, I think it's lungs, the lungs. So you need to think about something to do with grief or something to do with the lungs thing, lung problems. Huawei coming in. Who is Huawei?
She can't see this.
Why the heart is considered fire as an element, but it's listed as a yin organ. Where you see heart is listed as a yin organ?
Hi, May. Sorry, it's Joseph.
Oh, yeah. Joseph.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Heart is yang zhong zi yang, is very, very young. It's not yin organ. However, in terms of zang and fu, all the zang are yin and all the fu is yang. Zang is a solid structuring organ, have the function, and fu is like a container. So zang including heart, liver, spleen, lungs, and kidney. Fu is like large intestine, all the containers, stomach, large intestine, small intestine, this kind of fu. So in that sense, all the zang are yin. However, the position, the nature of the heart is yang zhong zi yang, double yang. So I don't know where you saw the heart is yin organ.
It's listed in the instructor manual. Sorry, Mike.
Right. Oh, don't worry. I don't feel I'm criticizing, but I feel like just double check. Yang heart is definitely the yang organ is fire.
Okay.
I found Keith. Is that Keith? Put the hands up. Or Warren. Jamila, this may be helpful to what I have taught.
I have a question, but I don't know if you want to.
Good. I saw Warren already found the 5 elements relationship. So we can always find these informations. Of course, I'm not specializing 5 elements. Sometimes I don't know all of them. Or we all have the source to find. That's great. And yeah, Keith and Teresa, put your hands up. Yeah, answer. Oh, asking. Oh, sorry, you are muted.
Okay. Hi.
Hi.
I was wondering, because we looked at all of these and each have characteristics. So are we do we relate to one in particular, or are we all of those? Parts of these are all of us. Is that, or are we just like one? In fact, say as an example, I could be Earth.
That is always the matter. Yeah. Do you mean if I say you are the Earth person, you
Yes.
mean I'm only the Earth, or whether I also have the water element?
Yes.
You can be both. You can be 3, but probably one is predominate.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, that's also, like I said, is making the treatment a bit difficult.
Right.
As I said, the 5 element style of acupuncture was popular in 1970s, 1980s, even 1990s. But since a lot of Chinese people coming into this country, the 5 elements is being replaced. All the colleges who teach 5 elements acupuncture all closing down. Because it's very subjective. In terms of results, is not as good because it's very hard to judge this person, what kind of element you are, what kinds of conditions, like in terms of 5 elements. So it's very, how to say, it's not objective, put that way, and make it more criticized by the science because they said it's not scientific based. Right. However, that's why we said we can become a fortune teller.
Okay.
So people think, oh, how could you know I'm going to be like this? But we just judge by the 5 elements or the constitution. That's the way. Of course, we have 五运六气. Then by your date of birth, we can predict which people in China, they predict the COVID 6 months ago, about 2020 is going to be a COVID year. They predicted just by the changing of the weather and the time of the cost. I don't know. I've never have time to learn more about 5 yun and 6 qi. That called 五运六气. It's very hard with my age to do some. I'm very appreciative. You are probably, many of you are similar age to me, but still passionate to learn something new. I just feel like I can't get any more new. Just no one says time. But is very interesting though. I have read something. It's quite interesting. Anyway, that's just something.
It's interesting, yes.
Very interesting.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, should I move on? Otherwise, questions never stop. Samuel, in the instructor manual, I think yin organ stands for zang, yang organ stands for fu, hence confusing. Yeah, that's right. That's correct. It's yin and yang is always against certain group. In that group, zang and fu, of course, is yin and yang. But in terms of its own organ, in terms of the character of this organ, is another thing is different. In terms of function, in terms of location, then that is against the location. So it's yin and yang is very, very relevant to what they compare to. Okay. Looking up 八字 for your Chinese. 八字, that's right. Correct. Sue said this. 八字, 八卦, 八字. Correct. Kidney deficient. Kidney deficient can be both yin and yang. Not necessarily yin or yang. You will learn more when we talk about kidneys. Okay, great. So we move on. Next one. We have time for discussion, okay? Don't worry. I think. So each element is also associated with color, sound, smell, emotion. This is the color we didn't mention, and sound from previous ones we haven't done. So order, like the smell and emotion. Let's look at what's related to. Wood related to green color. Remember, wood related to green, of course. Trees, garden. Anyway, garden is not always green, but it's green. So actually, recently I find myself always green on my top, become a bit wood. So that is related to the color. Then but I don't shout as much. Shout, of course, I'm talking, always shout. I have to be loud. So shouting is also like anger, like combined with anger, emotions, right? In terms of rancid, sorry, I forgot to. I just see you. Just keep hiding. Rancid. Is this a wrong word? Kind of the odor, the smell. It's kind of rancid. It's kind of urine smell. This is a kind of liver. If you're liver, you can only smell this kind of odor only when you are in a hospital. Someone have a liver failure. It's very rare, you know. Anyway, think about you smell of the rotten liver, like the rotten pig liver. You can imagine what's the smell like. And next, this emotion is anger. So if this person is easily get angry, shout, even the face tend to green. We talk about face color, but oh, he looks so green. So that means what? This is very, very liver. And also indicating this person liver will be injured, damaged if you are like that. So sometimes in order to control your emotion, sometimes you say, deep breathe. If you feel something, you're very angry, deep breathe. You do Qigong, you know, that's always calm you down. If you come in with this kind of fears, like anger, shouting, the damage to do is two sides. Damage to the person you shout at and damage your own liver. So remember, this is the way we need to help ourselves to be good, to be healthy. Don't get burst. So the fire color is red. Red. So that's what I said. I found my husband is a fire person. He's a heart fire person because he always have a red cheeks. Red. That's one character. And he loves, or people have the fire character. They loves red. So sometimes I think myself, I loved red a lot before, but now I don't. Probably to do with age. I'm no longer a fire person. So red and laughter, always just laughing, loves kind of laughing. There's also the emotion is quite good. Joy, that is for the heart. If your heart is healthy, you're normally joyful and you like laughing. Laughing always help people kind of relax. And the smell, the odor is like a scotched ironing. For you iron the clothes, you forgot to turn it off. You go out to pick up the phone call and talk to people. Oh, suddenly you smell something scorched. That is fire. Yeah. Joy, emotion. Emotion is joy, obviously. Oh, so that's the fire character. Fire character. The earth, the color is yellow. Look, color is yellow. So if someone loves yellow color, always wear something yellow, that's indicating something to do with earth. And the character, a kind of not emotion, just like it's kind of it's love singing, good at singing or love singing. The smell is kind of fermented grain is quite nice smell, a bit sweet kind of smell, sweet smell. And sympathy. full of sympathy, worry, pensiveness. So non-decisive, very, very undecisive, very hard to decide what to do, always worrying, think, hesitating all the time. So that's the typical spleen. So this time, I think people, most people overweight, and like we said, damp phlegm type is a spleen. It's a spleen. Some people put the questions. Let me finish. And but so on the other hand, I think the spleen quality is quite nice, isn't it? Full of this type of people should become a doctor. But of course, doctor cannot be pensiveness, cannot be undecisive. Okay, you have to decide and determine. Metal, the color is white color. Yesterday, someone mentioned about white. Did you? Yin and yang. White is cold and white. So people like this kind of metal quality character loves white. And the kinds of emotions is weeping, just always crying, sadness, just not sad, just very emotional, always tears, this type. And the smell, the odor is rotten, like rubbish bin smell, rotten. And the emotions, the kinds of emotional character is grief, or this emotion will impel the metal, impel the lungs. That is grief. Okay, this just it's very general. I think a lot, like I'm treating a lot of infertility patients. They have mixture of emotions, but most emotion, deep side is grief. So sometimes some doctors ignore that emotion, but this is quite emotional. Although they don't say they're sad, but they do feel very sad, very deep side. So we always working on the lungs. Don't forget, even we always think infertility is kidney, but these factors affect the kidney to be nourished, including the grief, the lungs. The water color is black and blue. So if you find someone's like dark eye, especially under the eye, normally is indicating kidney deficient. Or the skin, you see some people, couple patients in China after COVID, the color changed, completely changed, very, very black, very dark. You can't believe they are Chinese, because Chinese, of course, we are kind of a bit dark skin, but we are more tend to be the yellow side rather than dark. But he just out of hospital looks like a black person, black, dark. This is damaging to the kidney. You heard about COVID patient, first organ to be damaged is kidney, isn't it? Kidney failure. So of course, this just by chance is corresponds to Chinese medicine, but in the long run, I think it's too much steroid treatment, and also of course this we call the storm of the immunity, making a lot of kidney deficiency. So it's a black, blue sometimes, growling, just moaning, complaining all the time. This is kidney. And stagnant water, like bleach kind of odor. Putrid, yeah, putrid. How to pronounce putrid? Yeah. And fear. This group of people, some people said there is a group of people when they're born, just things like constitutionally fearful. It's always paranoid and fear for something happen, always worrying. But of course, it's not worrying, not always just frightened and fearful. This sometimes I have the children coming to see me, say the parents say it's always fearful. I said it's the parents' fault. It's not the child's fault. Either they gave the child experienced something fearful in their childhood, or the parents not have a good, not strong kidney, didn't pass a good constitution to the child. Of course, nowadays the children, they're watching too much frightening like games and TV programs. Although even my son, although he's not allowed to watching the kind of adult film, but he can still watching the documentary. He was at one time interested in watching the criminals documentary. Too much. Oh gosh. Now he feels in the evening he's frightened of dark. So I said, sometimes I said, are you kidney deficient? But he's a very strong guy, lad. It's teenager, is very active sports. It's always not kidney deficient. It's fear from the fear of these images in the brain because of the. So you have to differentiate whether it's fearful from the constitution, from kidney deficiency, or just from the media things experience, put that way. So that's the water. So after this, I will give you a group of kind of, not a group, 5 cases to have a look, to think about it. Before I thought we do the group discussion, we leave the group discussion later on. We have 3 cases, activities. This is the first one, then we'll have second one and third one. We leave the last one for the group discussion, because if we have 10 groups, that's like today, take me 45 minutes almost to get the answer, get the explanation. We don't have that luxury now. So because from now on, we only got 40 minutes left. So look at this, we look at together. I will keep your chat box open. If you have questions, we can always go through. So the activity, now I put this case to you, you have a look yourself, because if I read, in fact, you are thinking, you have a look of these cases, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just tell me what the first one is. Whoever put the hand first will be the answer first. I will close my sharing. In order you can, I can see the whole group screen, because it's online is not always. Stop sharing so I can see whose hand put the first. Yeah, look at the case. Oh, I have to share, otherwise you can't. Sorry, confused. I have to share, otherwise how could you know the case? That's true, I have to share it. Okay, now cases. Right. Have a look. Give you 5 minutes to read through and tell me what element. Each case is one element. Then at the same time, I have a quick look, 5 minutes. I have a look of your questions. If you smell someone is scorched, especially in the morning, that this means they are having heart trouble, possible. Of course, this is definitely possible, but you have to combine with the other symptoms. But this is very interesting. I have not smelled someone like that myself, but if you have this experience, do looking at the heart to see whether there is something to do. But of course, heart not necessarily always the organ. Think about the heart function in terms of responsible for the shen, for the governing the blood, including vasculars, and including the shen. Oh, 2 people put the hands up. Great. One is Kevin, another is Samantha. Okay. 1 minute. 1 minute. Let me answer the question first. And another question. Number 3. Angela. Write it down. Keith. Kevin first. Samantha. I need 5 people put their hands up. 5. Good. Okay, 5 now. 2 Angelas. One Angela Forum. Another is Angela Howarth. 1 minute. Another one. Oh. Jane. Miller. Good. Okay, that's it. Okay, before you answer me, I'll just explain your question, okay, in the chat box. Does TCM looks at 八字 to looking for deficiency on the patient? If not, do you end up with the same deficiencies found on same character chart? And is that different? Right, this question is a bit difficult for me to answer because I don't look at 八字, unfortunately. So I don't know whether it's match our TCM diagnosis. I'm sorry, I can't answer that because not every TCM practitioner looking at 八字. Some practitioners, especially in the folk practice, they do all these things, but we are more academic background. So it's more medical background. And when we study in Chinese medicine, Chinese government don't allow us to learn like allow us to learn like 八字 or fortune telling or 八卦. That's and also even the 五志 like 魂魄意魂魄something I can't remember. 意志 and 悲, I think, like these 5 志, like emotional things, we're also not allowed to learn because it's supposed to be a superstitious. You know, Chinese at that time, 1980, early 1980s, 1970s, is very cultural revolution. Just after the Cultural Revolution, due to the Cultural Revolution, something like superstitious, even the Confucius is being criticized. So if you know about Chinese history, you know. So we didn't learn that. But of course, we can always catch up in the future. But sometimes I find it's a limitations for your practice. So I don't do 八字, unfortunately, I can't answer you, sorry. And may I try? I believe 八字 is about genetics. It's Angeline. Okay, answer this question. Good. Okay, so you, Keith, case study 1, what do you think? Keith, can you let me know? Oh, no, Keith, sorry, Kevin, sorry, apologize. Kevin, what's the first case you think is? Because you put your hands up.
I wonder if it's fire.
Fire.
Yeah, because of they had marked they have a red interior that has gone national.
Good, good. So this, I agree with fire. So when you read, I just remind everyone else, when you read this case, not only just looking for the red, look at other things. This is a character of red. Oh, sorry. This is a character of fire. Fire. The chain of coffee shops with this trademark red interior is now national, and its growth has been on and off but unstable, with lots of sudden phases of expansion and then times where it's getting quiet. But it now has shops all over the country. It's a very sociable place to work, apparently, with a lot of jigglings, outings. So this is character of fire. That is a good thing. And that didn't mean anything bad, just like the typical. So the second one, Samantha, can you answer the number 2, the ethical bookshop? Yeah, Samantha. Oh, you got question? Make. Yeah, 1 minute. Make, you got question?
No, it's about answering the second one case.
Oh, are you the ones answer the? Because I saw the Samantha put the hands up. Because I think more than 5 people put the hands up. I just called the first 5.
Yes. So we thought it was wood.
Wood.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
So you can see. Oh.
Because we obviously there's the at the end of the sentence, the last sentence, it's talking about the colour green, dark leafy green. You've also got the wall full of posters of Amnesty International. So that was what's that one? Did we say wood for that one? Yeah. Am I looking at the right one? Yeah. Did we say wood? Yeah, we said wood.
Yeah. Definitely wood. Well organized. Wood person is very, very well organized. They never being messy. Very well organized. And very fair, very strict. They need to be like that. That's typical wood. Great. Third one, number 3 is going to be Angela Fallon, yeah. Number 3.
So number 3 is the earth element relating to the spleen, and it's in the color yellow. There's indecisiveness there with the owner, but there's also a supportive and caring environment, support for staff, kind of bringing people together with cake for tea time.
Yes, wonderful, good analyzing. So great, thank you, Angela. And the 4th one, another Angela Howard. Is that Howard? Yeah.
Yeah, hello. Metal. You've got the jewelers with the steel, and the one item, which is the ring, again, is a metal. I don't know about the staff all looking like models, maybe because that's rigid. Yeah, so metal for number 4.
Good, excellent, fantastic. Okay, move on. The last one, Jen Miller.
Yeah, that's water. Yeah, and it's partly related. Water has a downward movement, so it's interesting that they're putting their feet in tanks of water. And the element of fear, the fear of catching something there.
Very good, excellent, good. Fab. So we move on. So this is the first stage for 5 elements. Sorry, other people put the hands up. We just need 5. This is not very hard one, but it's an interesting one to help us to understand 5 elements. Now I think you understand, I hope, fully about the character of each element. So the next stage, we need to know the relationship. We need to know the relationship between 5 elements. Of course, we in the past, as I mentioned, people practicing 5 elements acupuncture, they use 5 element acupuncture tradition to diagnose patients. Then using the acupuncture points, they also have the group of points for fire, a group of point for water, and group of point for wood, all these kinds of prescriptions against your diagnosis. So if you learn 5 elements, you still need 3 years to learn. I mean acupuncture, because that's much in depth. Actually, I bought a big book, want to learn a bit more. I found this fascinating and very interesting, but I just find it's very difficult to follow. So if you're really interested, I think Lamington Spa, they are the first college to teach 5 elements acupuncture, and they closed for some time. Now they reopened. I don't know whether they're still in Lamington Spa or they moved to London, near the London. They want to do the postgraduate people learn acupuncture. They want to increase the knowledge, and some people are interested in 5 elements. They still can learn. So that is part of Chinese medicine. But to be honest, we are the traditional Chinese medicine group that focus on the 8 principles. We still use 5 elements, but not for the full kind of knowledge to treat the patients. We have to combine with other factors. So it's making it more objective or scientific. So that's the thing. So now we were coming to the relationship between 5 elements. I would love you, because the plan is to have a group discussion. But again, I'm quite concerned we only have 25 minutes left. We don't have time for group discussion, but I would love you to think about, just purely think about these 5 elements. Write it down: fire, wood, and metal, earth, and water. These 5 elements. What relationship could be? I'd like you to think about first. I give you 5 minutes to think about it. And if you can put your hands up, it would be great. And to tell me whether they can be, like, I want you to think about one generate each other or one's counteract each other. So the hands up people, please, before, can you take your hands down, because otherwise will be too many up. So just in case, I just can't see. So put hands down first, then up now, because then I can know who is the new one to put the hands up. Andre, are you put the first one? So think about and also they counteract, they're actually against each other. I still want some people to have a think, because we are 75 people here, 72 people here. I think give you some time. If you have a thought about it, it's good for me to talk, to deliver the knowledge. So at least I know. So if you feel like it's a bit difficult think about in your garden, the earth, the wood, at least think about that way, or the fire and water, what relationship they can be. So just give me some clue. What do you think? That just make you feel more interested. Give you 5 minutes, just by 10 past our. So many people put the hands up now. Wow. Someone still outside. If the people move between types, so things are the combination of elements. My answer is yes. David asked it, is the people move between types? Yes, they can move, like what I said at the beginning. But in general, they will stay when that kind of character, things just like they born as that kind of constitution, they will stay that for life, but they can develop more. They can develop some more. 5 elements, more easy to work with non-medical practitioners. Jane said is correct. I totally agree. I don't want to discuss in too much depth, but of course, only when you want to be a medical people, want to treat patients, you can go a bit more. Now you only need to understand the character of each element. In terms of relationship, if you know more, will be helpful to looking after this element, basically, because you think wood have that. If you don't think wood will affect the earth, then you don't understand why people stress and get indigestion. Simple as that. Okay. And you don't know why you eat rubbish food, you can end up coughing. This is to do with 5 elements. Okay. So now, still 1 minute left. Okay, I will ask 5 people for this question. Let me see how many 5. Angela, is that how to pronounce your name? Andrea. 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 Sue, second. Tariq, is that Tariq? Third. Let me see any more. Wow. Kai Chen. Kai Chen, number 4. Only 4 people put their hands up. Okay. Andrea. And please, what do you think about the relationship?
I think there is a constructive relationship, and there's also destructive or more like controlling. Looking at, let's say we start from the south, fire.
Yeah.
From fire, when you burn something, you produce ashes, which would be earth.
That's right.
And from earth, you get your minerals, which would be metal.
Yeah.
And from the metal, you probably get because it is malleable, you could think of wavy and water. And it will give you that, the dampness and all that of the lungs. And then from water, it would give you the word, and I'm looking at it in the season. From summer you get to whatever, and then you get to spring, and then you get to summer. So word would be what water would provide to give wood growth, and of course wood gives you fire. That's how I look at it, but that's the more like the constructive. There is a destructive, but I think I'll let other people give their views on destructive. There's controlling, one control the other. But there are other people wanting to speak, so I better let them have their say on what destructive is. It's more to do with one control the other, one melt the other, one, water controls whatever. But I'll let other people say that, if that's okay.
Yeah, wonderful. You already explained all.
Okay.
Very sense, making sense. Brilliant.
Okay.
Good. So I don't have anything to correct and clarify. It's great. It's already almost covered most. And Angela, Sue Kelly, do you want to add something in? Sue?
Pretty much the lady beforehand. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Pretty much the lady beforehand has said what we all believe. So fire can control metal, but the control cycle is 80% one way, but the metal gives 20% back to the fire. So fire controls metal, metal controls wood, wood controls earth, Earth controls water and water controls fire. So the earth and the water, if you think of the nature of water, we don't need to, but humans have channeled the water by building canals, by building dams, by making sure that the destructive nature of water can be less destructive. So although it's a controlling cycle, it's also quite a useful cycle in that if your house is on fire, well, water's quite useful to put it out. Wood controlling earth, if you've got an oak tree that falls over at some point, it tears up the earth. But then that can be a good thing because then that promotes new growth. So a controlling cycle to me isn't a bad thing. I could go on for about an hour talking about controlling and supportive. And then you've got the other way round and grandmothers and sons and daughters and things like that. So I think that's enough.
Just give me 1 minute. I'm just my colleagues coming back. It's just.
女孩，没有。哦，就是几点钟？我不知道。那全部给我了。我不知道。我正在密中批评。哦，行，这个是125，他给了250，拿了一半。然后。Very good analysis, everyone, about this 5-element thing, and obviously you look at in the Chinese medicine point of view. You can say that the 5 elements is to do with organs and things like that. And also it applied quite well as well in martial arts. If any of you have practiced Xing Yi, the internal martial art Xing Yi Chuan, and which I'm doing like every morning now, well, not every morning, every Thursday morning. And it is to do with the 5 elements as well. Not only it connects to the organs and nature, but also connects to the techniques that are being used in martial applications. So in a way, the 5 elements are something that is really wide in a sense as we can understand. And even on our body, we've got not just sort of the organs that has got the 5 elements, but also movement, and also even part of the body has got 5 elements, which hopefully we will explore a bit more. Put you back to Professor Xing.
Thank you, Terry. It's
You're
great.
Welcome.
Just sorry, my colleague just popped in and need to pass some information to me. Right, because to Sunday we still have people working. Great explanation from Sue, isn't it? Yeah, Sue. I've heard most of it. Just this final bit. I think great understanding and explanation, and Terry's explanation even more useful for you guys who learn Tai Chi Qigong, because he's expert, obviously knows all this relationship between the movement and 5 elements is wonderful. And also, if we still have 2 people put their hands up. Tariq, do you want to talk about your thought?
Okay, it's pretty similar to what Sue has just said. What I can add is the way wood controls earth is also, it stops the movement of the earth. Like when we have rain, the earth tends to move with the rain, the erosion, but the wood is holding the earth, so limiting and controlling the movement of the earth. And then earth, very similar to what Sue said, you can build a dam in front of the water. So earth is controlling the movement of the water. And then water is, when you pour water around the fire, then water is controlling and limiting the movement of the fire. So if we're looking at the control cycle in terms of movement and spreading and expanding, this is how they're controlling each other. And fire is controlling metal by melting it. And when a tree is growing, for instance, you can control its spread by using metal. You can cut the tree with with a metal axe or a seesaw. So that's also another way to remember how they can control, how these 5 phases or 5 elements can control each other.
Good. At least this stage, you understand from the pure observation of the nature world. So next stage, then, if you look at the internal organ, how these 5 elements relate to the internal organ, then you understand how disease happens. So of course, we have one more person to answer. Kai, do you have anything to add in on?
Yeah, well, not really. What I've agreed with everything that everybody said, but just taking the element of water in isolation, because we all know that water is such a powerful element, in that it can be destructive as well as it can be also be quite helpful. You see, so what I'm going to take about water is this. In terms of water, we know that water is yielding, and water will go everywhere. So, for example, and therefore, because it takes a long time to erode a rock. If you look at a rock in the river, the water cannot go over through it, but it will go around it. You see, and therefore, in time, water will actually erode, and the rock will become a stone, a little pebble, yeah, in time. But this is why I think the yielding effect of water is very important. So therefore, then you still got the yin and yang aspects of water, because obviously when the water flows down, because water actually starts from the mountains, it goes down to the valleys and then back into the sea. Okay, but then if you look at the elements of water, water can be very young and destructive in that sense. But then also when you actually control the water, like making a dam, okay, you get all the potential energy in the water in a lake or in a dam. So that's probably all the yin energy, waiting to become yang, and when you release it, therefore it turns all the turbines, you get hydroelectric power from that. So this is my just one view of one element, that's all.
Very interesting. Very interesting understanding and explanation. Great. I think I learned from you just by the about water element. It is true. Of course, I think from the medicine point of view, like water with kidney, when we, I think Sue did you put the hands up again, Sue? Yeah, you want to say something, go on.
Okay, so you were talking, you were asking about the organs and how they relate to the 5 elements. So if, let's say, for example, you have a kidney deficiency, which means you've got less water, then your body may draw more from your metal aspect to balance that kidney issue, which could give you a lung issue. So if you were looking at this to help with your own regeneration and your own health, I would do possibly an exercise from the Qigong that was perhaps a little more wood-based, because with this 80-20%, the wood would give 20% back to the kidney, therefore strengthening the kidney, therefore strengthening the lung, therefore strengthening the earth, the spleen, the stomach, therefore strengthening the heart, therefore strengthening your wood. So you can use this cycle in so many different ways, and with being differently well, we'll talk about it, last year, I have used this so much, and I don't want to go into it. Most people know what happened, but the more you study the 5 element theory, it isn't just this. It's like an onion. There's so many layers beneath it, and I haven't got probably beyond the 2nd layer of the onion. But if you can look at, okay, I have this issue, or I have this issue, or this issue, what can I do to promote for myself? So yeah, that's all I wanted to say, really.
Brilliant. Great, great. Thank you so much, Sue. That's very good, good thinking and good knowledge about how exercise from the strengthening wood aspect to strengthening the water and the metal. This is very interesting. I haven't thought about that really. That kind of knowledge is great. So this is definitely the way we should think about, especially you learn, I believe you will get more and more from your Qigong masters in terms of strengthening these 5 elements or counteract something is overactive. So make sure they are all in the same kind of level to nourishing each other. Great. So before we go forward, you have learned something from our peers. Wonderful. Save me a lot of energy as well. I hope you also get some knowledge, understanding now. So I will now showing my chart to give you a bit more explanation. Not actually, they explain perfectly well. It's great. It's great. But I just like revise, not revise, like repeat and get you a bit more understanding. So this is what we called generating, not producing. Sorry, I used the wrong word. Not producing should be the correct. Okay, generating cycle or constructive. So this is one produce another, or one create another, just or support another, this cycle. So look, this is like a fire to start, fire. Fire generate the earth. The explanation, I don't need to do anymore. I think Sue or Angela. Sorry, I just keep forgetting how to pronounce the Angela. And Tarek and Kai, they give, especially the first 2 girls, explain very well, and Tarek, how this kind of cycles works, how it works. Fire, especially I said, think about the sun, your garden, and the environment you live in. Then think about all these things, try to connecting them, use a pure observation of yourself. Of course, then now we will reflect on our organs. So the fire is the mother of the earth. So because it generates earth, ash, then the earth generates metal, minerals, okay? From earth, you get the minerals. You find the gold from your earth, isn't it? The most treasurable metal is from earth. The earth generates water. Not earth. Metal generate what I was thinking how earth generate. The metal melted, of course, will become a watery liquid. Then water generate wood. Of course, without water, the wood will never grow. So this is, and the wood what generates the fire. Of course, the wood generates fire. Also, on the other hand, the wood also need the fire. All this just the other way around. Also, they depend on each other. So this is a circle. I found you taking notes. Don't worry, you can take notes, and you will have the handout. I'm sure you will have the handout. Yesterday one I already sent it off, so hopefully you'll get it. Today's I will also send it to you. You can have this handout. The sun, this is a sun cycle. In balance, the mother nourishes the child. Out of balance, the mother is unable to nourish the child. As simple as that. This is out of like kind of balance. The child, if the child is too full and or take too much from the mother, then sometimes make the mother weak. So the first one, the generator is a mother, the generating the kinds of the sun. So if the sun is too much it's very full, too much fire, the obviously will consume the wood. So on the other verse, like the other way around. So that will take too much. If you are too active, they make your liver a bit deficient, weak. So of course, now we were looking at the organ. This is counteract, or we said like constrain each other, constrain. Fire melt metal. Look at these kinds of, if you're looking at all these arrows, it's quite interesting, put them together. One is like that, another just like a star. The star shape always will make you remember. They're so good, this kind of 5 elements. It's so clever, put that way. The Chinese, the ancient Chinese, they got this relationship, and in this kind of chart, so important. Fire melt the water. Oh, sorry, fire melted the metal. My brain is already gone. And the earth, well, restrain the dam. We said dams, water. So when you have the flooding, you put all the earth to make the fan, isn't it? Make the dam to obstruct the water. Earth obstruct the water. And metal, cut the wood. Metal will cut the wood. If you too much grief, they make your liver deficient. Cut the wood, or we call sometimes insult the wood. And water will destroy the fire. This is the easiest one to understand. Okay, it's all easy to understand if you're from the natural world, easy to understand. The wood will covers earth, wood, counteract the earth. So that's the say I said, when you're stressed, why the first thing affect you is to your digestive. When you're stressed, you feel like you're bloated. You don't like to eat. That's the most common symptom in our clinic. You can see most common ones, because most people coming to us is to do with stress, and they find the main thing affected is the digestion. Wood is the liver, the earth is spleen. So if spleen function, digestive is being affected. So this ke cycle, ke is Chinese name. Ke means counteract or constrain. This is the feedback mechanism that keeps all elements in harmony. But one element can be deficient, allowing another to invade. So of course, this needs a lot of thinking, lots of understanding. Sometimes that's why I want to put another group discussion, but our time is not allowed us to do it. Invade and complex patterns often occurs. So making the kind of, because someone in the morning asking me about chronic conditions. So just because it's a relationship between these 5 elements, at the end, every organ seems to be affected. Every organ involved in the pathology of a disease. So it becomes so hard to explain with a single pattern. It's become a mixture of complex patterns. So that's how the Chinese medicine works. So of course you are learning TCM, of course I need to make you sure you get some understanding. Using needles or other treatment to move the energy from areas of excess to those of the deficiencies. Just move the excess ones and move to the deficiency part, then to make them harmonized. Using the correspondence to moderate the influence of different elements. For example, using like feng shui, a choice of clothing, and the Tai Chi. I forgot to put that down, Tai Chi. So we should have more case discussions, but however, I think it's already 12:30. We have a very, very full session. I can send you the handout for the cases. You can have a look. To your group, I know it's a 70 people group. So case 2, and I think can be very quick. I just read through, we'll do it together. I just straight away, it's very straightforward ones. It's not a very hard one. just to enhance your understanding of 5 elements. So give me just 5 minutes extra, sorry about it. A cross-grumpy man who is walking very stiffly and dressed in green pushed into a passerby and shouts at them aggressively in very military tones. This is like we said this is a wood like a liver. Liver is a commander. So the relationship with organ you are, this is liver, wood. So he's a woody person. The first one. A man walks quickly past, looking at his watch. He's dressed in black and looks ready to run at the slightest provocation, and he has huge dark circle under his eyes. This is the water, kidney, because we don't have time for you to put the hands up. A woman sits by herself on a bench. She looks very hunched over and is wearing gray and white. She looks terribly sad. Sadness. What's that? Metal, lungs. Another woman in a yellow top walks past with her 5-year-old son. She seems to be fussy and babying him a lot, making sure the scarf and hat are pulled well up to the chin, and keeps asking if he wants a drink or sweeties, or if he's tired and he wants to stop for a sit down. This is Earth, very caring, very worrying person, worrying and sympathy. The last one, a man burst out of the pub with a bunch of his friends. They are all laughing at his new red jacket, and he looks very hurt and shocked. So this person is a fire, where it burst and with red. So I think, I believe you still have questions in your mind. Keep going, keep going. That is a studying path. I think you are always, I hope you are stimulated to think about medically or health-wise, and to do your Qigong better, and learning your Qigong and Tai Chi better, to looking after yourself, to think about your own health, and also help others. And I hope you can give some explanation to these 5 elements to your practice or to your clients, to your patients. So I think if you want to stay to ask me questions, I can stay with you for another 10 minutes. I found people put a lot of words on, I haven't read, but it's time for you to leave. So anybody feel free to go, just in case there are more questions, I just catching up.
Okay, thanks very much, Professor Seung. I think it's absolutely right. Anyone who wants to stay behind and ask a few more questions, feel free to do so. I will say, Professor Seung, stay for 5-10 minutes more, if there's any questions. If not, then, we'll leave it open for another 5 minutes for anybody who wants to raise any questions. And for those of you who are leaving, and I hope you enjoy the training for the TCM today. And we hope we'll see you next time, I think it's next week, wasn't it? Or the week after. And if you're coming for the training this afternoon, and hopefully we will start the same at 1:30. And remember, you must use a different login detail. Not the same as the one if you were in yesterday, then don't use the same one. Use a different one. Okay? Contact us if you haven't got it yet. All right? So have a nice lunch. And 1:30, we're back on to the next meeting room. Okay? With a different login detail. Okay. So see you later. Goodbye.
Thank you, Terry, very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, Professor
Yeah,
Seung.
thank you for everyone. Put the lovely words on the chatting box. I thought these would be questions, but mostly
That's
thank you.
absolutely fantastic.
Wonderful, thank you. And Sue put the hands up. I think you are great. You got loads to offer. So let us listen to what you want to ask or what you want to say to us.
I think I'm my own research. Going back to when you were talking about the organs, you talked about Jiangfu.
Yeah.
And I looked it up, and the Fu side are the yin organs, no, the yang organs, and the Zhang side are the yin organs, which put heart, liver, spleen, lung, and kidney in the yin side. But I've always thought of those as yang organs. So I got confused.
Okay, good question. In terms of Zhang and Fu, Zhang is like producing, functioning. Fu is just receiving, so more active in Zhang. So in terms of Zhang and Fu, the 5 Zhangs or 6 Zhangs are yin, and 6 Fus are yang. But in terms of, if you compare with Zhang, between Zhang, some are the yang Zhang, some are the yin Zhang. The heart is yang, the kidney is yin.
Yin, yeah.
Yes, the spleen also yin. I think spleen and liver are yin. When in terms of location, they are bottom side and lower, and lung and heart are yang organs because the location, nothing else, just location. Of course, the heart is yang zhong zi yang. The reason is because they are fire in terms of 5 elements. So it's already, and they are on the top of the location, against upper side. So it's yang. So it's a very, very young organ. That is heart. So I said, in terms of yin and yang, you have to see what's the reference.
Yeah.
What's
Okay.
the yang side. So
yeah, that makes sense now. Okay, but I love 5 elements. I could talk about it for hours.
It is very interesting. I know if you want to know in depth and more, as I said, I'm not the expert. I have to be honest. I'm not an expert. If some expert talking about 5 elements can take days to talk about every element. You have the character, you have the personality, you have the preference, and you have a diagnosis and the treatment. But I'm very good at in like TCM pattern diagnosis in order to find a way for treatment. But when we talk about pathology, probably I'm excellent. But when we talk about physiology, I'm rubbish.
Yeah. But thank you for explaining Jiangfu. That makes much more sense now. I've enjoyed today. I enjoyed yesterday as well, but I've enjoyed today. Thank you. I'll let someone else speak now.
Anybody? I find people still reluctant to leave. So any questions? More questions? Because I think, I unfortunately, Terry have to stay with us as the admin. So if, Maze.
Hi, the answer might be a bit similar to what you gave to Sue. Yesterday, you said a lot of Qigong movements, you usually start on the left-hand side.
Oh, I found that question, yeah.
And
the left side is yang. So we like starting the yang, generate the like rise of the yang, always starting from left side. That's my understanding. I don't know about Terry and Faye, what they think. I think left side is yang, right side is yin.
I've seen some references. So I had 2 questions. One is sometimes the left side is referred to as yin, and I've seen some other teachers say left side is yin. And just out of curiosity, why?
Yeah, I did find that it's a bit confusing to me myself as well. Was always said for women is like right, but women always in terms of size is always on the left. The men is on the right. So this is, I think probably Kai got some explanation as a master of Tai Chi. Kai, do you want to explain? Do you want to follow this to explain?
No, I wasn't going to. I was going to ask another question actually.
Oh, not explain
Sorry.
this
Sorry.
left side, left, right.
Sorry.
I said I promise I will want to make discussions in our TCM group to understand this left side and left and right, because I also have this question, to be honest, left and right. Sometimes, for example, if you go to toilet, 男左女右, the women's toilet always on the right. At least in China, it's always on the right side. 男左女右. Nan is the male is always the left. So in terms of yin yang, male is yang, the female is yin. So 男左. So yang, how yang, that's in that sense, nan, male is on the left and female is the yang, is on the right side. But yeah, yin and yang is on the left and yin is on the right. But sometimes if you're looking at just in terms of directions, normally left is yin and right is yang, or in terms of the correct and incorrect. Normally we said correct is right and it's yang, and incorrect, faulty is yin. So in that case, probably this is difference, making this a bit confusing. But it probably depends on what is what. Depends on this right and left means what. That sometimes it is a little. This one, I think, will hopefully I'll come back with a better answer for you later. Okay.
Thank you.
So we move on to Kai.
Right, I've just unmuted myself. Now, the question I wanted to ask was, we were discussing this yesterday in our group, but we didn't get a chance to talk about it to you. This is actually about the yin and yang in our, which is yin and which is yang. So for what we understand is, from our point of view, we said that from the Bai Hui down to Hui Yin at the back, down the now the Diu Mai channels, yeah. All that is yang, okay?
Yeah.
And then we agreed that from the Bai Hui front to down the Ren Mai channels down is all yin, okay? Yeah. So that one everybody agreed with that, see. But then we asked the question, what about below the waist? So when you go down from the hamstrings, that's the back of the legs, all the way down to the heels, is that yin or yang? And then when you go down from the quads all the way down the shins, we think that part of it is yang, you see. So therefore, the back is yang.
The same question as I said. It depends what you compare with. If you talk about location, all the legs should be the yin, then all the upper should be the yang. But in terms of the, if you're only looking at the one leg, of course you think its upper leg is yang and lower leg is yin. However, in terms of Chinese medicine meridians, all the yang meridians on the side, we call it natural side, on both sides, this side. These yang meridians go, and all the yin meridians go inside. 3 yin meridians, 3 yang meridians.
Yes.
So outside, this out is yang, and inside this one is yin.
Okay.
So that's how it divide yin and yang. Of course, on the trunk, upper body, normally the front, all the front channel, all the yin channels go to the front, apart from the stomach. Only stomach go into the front. All the yin yang meridians go to the back, like gallbladder, bladder and gallbladder are the full meridians go to the back, through the back. So this is from meridian theory. So it depends on how you compare them, how you want to explain to them.
Okay, thank you.
That makes sense. Yeah. Any more? I found someone else put the hands up. So give me one, David, one more person question. Yeah, I will finish now.
Okay, Benny, I hope you can hear me okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Many years ago, I was put through a set of personality tests at work. And then from that personality test, you were divided into various groups, which actually described your personality in terms of color, actually, because that was seen as a good way of doing it.
You look like a fire.
In actual fact, that's not what the personality test said. But the important point I'm making here is this was scarily accurate. It was very scientific. It was done through, I think it was Dundee University, the information was coming out of. And I wondered if that is actually used or could be used as a basis for treatment in Chinese traditional medicine, that in actual fact you could conduct a series of tests and hence objectively end up with a basis for treatment. Is that used?
I'm not sure about your question yet.
My question is, given the accuracy of psychological
test against the 5 elements?
Well, is it possible to construct a series of questions which then tell you what element people are, what mixture of elements, and could that then inform a basis for treatment?
Yes, this is how 5 elements acupuncture works.
Okay.
This is how 5 elements acupuncture works. It's definitely yes, but unfortunately 5 elements working is not really having a herbal medicine, only acupuncture, and also developed in the West, not in China. China is actually learned from the UK, and some people deliver that, interestingly. So you are right. If you think that's scarily accurate, sounds right, very interesting. So this could be a very good research to follow up. Very interesting. I'm fully believing Chinese medicine. Really, I think something that nowadays the modern medicine have more and more research done. They explained some factors, like you said, fascial system, and you said the gut disorder is the result of the lung inflammation. All this, and also the second brain is the gut, it relate to your brain. These are all in Chinese medicine theory. So if you want to do research route and you find out some theory and go into the Western scientific method to discover what exactly that means. For example, kidney open to the ear, the liver open to the eyes, how that's related in scientific way. From our clinic side, we find this definitely working, but we didn't give a good explanation in terms of science. So of course, I'm passionate about that. I now feel like I want to spend my time to help more people instead of going through research. I was in the academic side, but just research is such a hard journey to go. You know, writing, research, and publishing and funding, all this just make life is very stressful, put that way. Okay, I really want to inspire younger people to do more and more. I even want my son to study Chinese medicine after study medicine and become more scientific thinking and understand the TCM. Anyway, that's extra. Personality in nature, someone put that. Anyway, we have to go because I also will join your Ma Wang Dui practice. So we need some lunch break. Okay. See you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
See you next weekend.
This year.
Bye.
Okay, thank you everyone. 谢谢邢老师，你可以现在休息一下了。今天谈的非常好，大家很热烈啊，反响啊，大家反应很热烈啊，看大家对这个还是非常感兴趣的啊。
对。
那咱们以后还可以多多的考虑一下，怎么样再多做一些这一方面的课程啊之类的啊。我觉得我们这个还是 还是不错的，我觉得看大家的对这个东西，而且很多人对这个已经有一定的那种认识吧，所以我觉得以后再更深层次的去教学啊什么，可能会吸引。
对，我发现你这个学生组特别好，他们都是有一些一定的 background， 有一些 career background， 而且真的是喜欢这个中国文化的人。所以他就学这些东西特别热情，我也觉得是确实是一个让我都觉得舍不得离开他们，好像
那就太好了。对，我觉得老外就是这样，就是他们特别对中国文化比较爱好的吧，特别在气功啊、太极拳比较爱好的，他们对这个中医的理论吧是非常感兴趣的。当然就是说，怎么说呢？也不是说所有人都会很深入的去学习，但是我估计肯定会有一部分的会更愿意多在这一方面发展一下，学习一下。所以我们以后呢，可以就是说这个课程完了以后吧，我们可以再想一想，或者搞一些比如说1年制的，或者什么样的那种课程。
可以，
然后一步一步的，有些人他可能年纪不是太大的，他可能说不定能慢慢的转变，不是转变了，就把这个中医作为他们发展的方向了，是吧？因为您不是也是在那个教那个中医啊什么的嘛？
对，
所以我觉得以后我们可以。
说老实话，我在备课的时候，我都在打退堂鼓了。我说我现在实在是没有更多的时间去做更多的事儿。我说哎呀，教完这个但今天这2天教完以后，我觉得他们真的是很可爱，特别让我觉得 inspired 我觉得就有点遗憾。他们真的是，
我觉得最主要是什么呢？你就是找到对的人，他们这些人，因为他本身对这个太极拳、气功或者中医的东西都，而且特别是你可以说道教的东西吧，道学你比如说八字啊、八卦啊那些东西，他们都是非常感兴趣的。所以我们为什么我们想着今年我们就尝试一下把你那个课程也加进来，就是这个意思，就作为一种就是试金石，你知道吗？就试一下，看看大家反应怎么样。看起来大家还是比较热烈的。那我们以后可以再考虑一下，就是说，当然也是根据你的
讲的，因为我觉得特别难讲通，因为就是像我就是说的，又 simple 又 profound， 但是现在他们就讲这种热望啊，学习的热情啊，这样我觉得真的是太难得了。我后面讲的气血啊，什么心脏腑，可能他们会更加说，可能我会讲的更好一点。实际上，
对。
但是不过，我觉得他们这种反应，我觉得差不多，我可以就讲这个水平也够了。
没错，我觉得他们最主要是他们已经有这个兴趣在那，就是说我们要怎么样去抓住这个势头吧，给它再发展一下，因为我们也是挺突然有那么多人的参与。
你们两个这个安利是特别 full 的，一天到晚都在忙。而且
对，还行，我们就是反正我们现在就是以这个安排这个东西为主的嘛，反正幸亏我们也没有其他的职业，所以我们的时间基本上就是花在这个地方，所以也不觉得太累，是吧？当然我们也希望跟其他人合作，但一起来搞的话了就更全面。现在我们主要集中的就是太极拳、气功、养生这一方面的，所以呢，我觉得比如说你现在中医啊、针灸啊，很多其他那个，现在我们有一个学生，他不是一个那个 Sam， 他不是也是一个针灸嘛，他中医嘛，那我们也找他去开一个课，就做一个推拿的课程。就是说比较完整性的，这样的话呢，就大家对老外来讲，那个推广就更会比较全面的。而且我觉得有一些人他们会，我估计今天看他们那种反应跟昨天的，我估计会有一部分愿意更深入的去了解或者学习中医。所以咱们过了这个课程以后，咱们再商量一下，看看有什么方式来重新再做一个，比如说个 package 啊什么的来推广这个。
很热情。
那行，那你先休息一下，因为我们1点半就开始了。
对啊，我都没有那个 login detail 啊，你们
刚才我给你发过去，你的那个在这里找已经发到刚才发到你这个在那个 chat 上面去，你有没有看见？我私信给你的，在这那个 chat 里面。
那个 WhatsApp 啊？
不是在这。
哦，你发的 chat 你的。
对。
太多 chat 东西太多，我没看见。
我跟你说，我给你再发一个 我看看啊，我再找一找，看看能不能给你发一个
你有没有我的 WhatsApp？ 应该有啊。可能没有，
WhatsApp
没有。你有没有微信？你是用微信多还是 WhatsApp 多？
微信也可以，两个都有，两个都用。
我加你
看看啊
微信吧，那就。
好啊，好啊。
你是什么 Terry 还是叶
Terry Yip TARYYIP。
我找一下你。
啊，对。
因为上次也是李老师也给我发到那个，哦，你在那个健身气功群，我加你就行了，是吧？
对对对对对对。
然后那个李老师也是发到那个 chat 里头 ，chat 里头有时候我就赶快照一张照片下来，这样今天
有时候就是人太多了，就淹没了，看不见了。
是啊是啊。
你在那个微信里面加我吧，我然后就把这个东西把那个 login
这个马王堆的我还挺想学的，而且我现在也在教我的病人一些
对对对，马王堆挺好的，挺不错的。动作比较多，但是练起来很舒服，大家很喜欢这个套路。我觉得那个不亚于那个八段锦这个，
对吧？有点难，是不是？
对对对，而且他那个来了，我看到了，
看到，然后你接收，
我先接收
接收以后你给我一个那个，
我要接收了，我就给你发一个啊。好嘞，等一等啊，好，稍等一下啊。好，找到了，好，给你发过去了。
好，
对，
太感谢了，谢谢。
没事，那咱们就1点半开始，你先休息，吃点东西吧，不然就饿了。
吃饭，然后吃个中饭，然后我们再见。
对，好嘞，就先这样啊。
好，几个星期见。
1点半，没问题，还有半个小时。